So today we're going to talk about volume. Why are we going to talk about volume? Well, because we're going to be talking about hypertrophy. What is hypertrophy? Muscle growth. And why what is important about hypertrophy? Two main things: mechanical tension and progressive overload. What's mechanical tension? Very difficult reps close to failure. What is progressive overload? More reps or more weight. This is very simplified versions, but they're the basics. Now that we understand that, why is volume important? Well, volume is important because volume is the amount of repetitions and the amount of sets that you complete per session. And that goes into your fatigue. Now, fatigue is important because if you have too much fatigue by the time you train the next time, you won't be able to produce very hard sets that are close to failure, aka you won't have a lot of motor unit recruitment. And therefore, it will start to become difficult to progressively overload, which, as we said before, is the important thing if we want to be gaining muscle. Alright, now that we have those basics out of the way, then we need to talk about volume in of itself. Currently, there is a big, I would say, agenda going on, but it's an agenda that at the end of the day, an agenda that has good intentions is probably an agenda that you should be a part of anyways. But regardless of the situation, as you can see already within this video, I am completing low repetition sets. And that's because the agenda that's going around right now is all about, if you do heavy weight for low reps, then all those reps will be contributing to mechanical tension because they're all pretty close to failure, and they all will require very high motor unit recruitment. And it's also going to be less fatiguing overall, especially when you couple it with not doing 5 or 6 sets. You only do maybe 2 or 3, or maybe even sometimes one, depending on your priorities. Now, I am here to shed some light onto the average beginner or the average person that's maybe getting into lifting. At the end of the day, I believe most of these tactics are for advanced lifters, anyways, because technique and good form are going to supersede most of these things. And if you don't have those things first, then you won't be able to produce like high forces in with high weights in a way that you're meant to, or in a way that's safe for you to not get injured. So at the end of the day, for someone starting out, it might be in your best interest to do higher reps anyways, even though it might be more fatiguing. Now, I would say it's always good to start off low and build up, because at the end of the day, we're all individuals and everyone has a different threshold tolerance for stress and work. Some of us can just handle a lot more work than others physically, and some of us just have different outside life factors. Some of us have children, some of us have very demanding very physically demanding jobs. Some of us just simply are in, some of us used to be sports people, some of us never used to lift in our entire lives. So everyone is very individual based. And so a good rule of thumb would be, and you can honestly, you can do it both ways. I unfortunately did it the opposite way around, but a very good way to do it is to start off with the lowest amount of volume necessary, which is approximately, I would say, maybe about 6 maybe 8 sets per week. Hard sets, of course, so you can split that up into 2 sessions. So you do 4 sets for a muscle group on one day, and then another 4 sets on another day. And you start with a low volume and you slowly build up the amount of volume you need. You can even start with maybe 3 sets per muscle group. 3 sets per session per muscle group. So, it, what I say this all to say, at the end of the day, I started the opposite way around, with starting with a high amount of sets and volume, and then I hit a plateau, because with newbie gains you kind of will see progress regardless of if you do high or low volume. But at some point, you are going to have to find out what volume is correct for your specific life, for your specific needs, for your specific genetics. And that's only going to come through trial and error. And the only way you're going to do that is by just going in the gym and lifting or getting a coach. There's no real two ways around it. But that's basically my little talk about volume. And yeah, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. I'm gonna be talking more about like what my program is and stuff and blah blah blah. So yeah.